This is music, and this is the 2023 Cassette Tag. Welcome to my contribution to the 2023 edition of Low Noise Jason Skilz Cassette Tag. Check out his channel. It's a great vinyl community channel. He shows all sorts of different genres. He has cool live streamed DJ sessions, and he has a cassette label too, which I think is awesome. I love cassette tapes myself, so I obviously want to contribute to this thread. Jason has 20 tasks/questions for us, including one bonus one. So let's just get down to business. Up first, show a tape from 2022. I've opted for this one here, Nattehimmel, The Night Sky Beckons. This is black metal. It's very, very melodic, I think, but it still has hints of the coldness that characterizes a lot of Scandinavian black metal. And it's actually very good, so do check it out if you like black metal. Up next, show a punk or a new wave cassette tape. I've opted for the punk option. This is Perfect World, War Culture. This is hardcore punk with strong NYHC leanings and what sounds like a strong inspiration, in particular from Agnostic Front. Fans of metal might enjoy this too because it is actually quite metallic sounding. I certainly like it. Show a metal or a hard rock tape. I've opted for Human Factors, The Human Tree. This is a demo tape from the 90s, from the Danish underground metal scene, which I was part of myself. This is thrash metal. It's fast, it's fierce, but also quite melodic, and it has some tech prog adjacent things going on. It's actually great. I listened to it yesterday even. This is great stuff. It's a real gem. Fantastic cassette tape for sure. Okay, up next, show a tape still sealed. We have this one, Strange Rites of Evil by Abysmal Grief. Death, doom, gothic stuff. Now on Jawbreaker Records release, Onyx, self-titled. This is a compilation of demo tapes from the 80s by a Swedish traditional metal band. More Jawbreaker stuff, Storm Death, Call of the Panzergoat, still sealed too, and more Jawbreaker Record stuff. Rising, Long Way Tour. This is also 80s Swedish traditional heavy metal. Why are these still sealed? I just haven't had the time to listen to them yet. They will be unsealed because I like listening to the things I have. Okay, up next, show the most experimental tape in your collection. I don't have any cassette tape that kind of experiments with sound or noise or have, soundscapes or stuff like that. But I have a couple of cassette tapes with experimental music, and I think 3 of a Perfect Pair by King Crimson, I think that counts, like progressive rock, and that's almost experimental, I guess, per definition. Up next, show a tape from the 80s. I've opted for Dirty Looks, Cool from The Wire. This is glam metal / hard rock, but leaning a bit more towards the AC/DC side of things. And I can attach a shout out to this one because the Mighty Metal Marty Mack was so kind to give me this cassette tape. So check out his channel. It's an awesome metal themed VC channel here on YouTube. Up next, show a hip hop tape or an R&B tape. I don't have any R&B tapes, and I don't like modern R&B. I do appreciate kind of soul music, which was kind of the predecessor to R&B, but I don't like post 95 R&B. But I do have some hip hop cassette tapes, including Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Legendary rap act from back in the day when before rap music had become mainstream pop music. So these guys actually had something to say. And I know there is an underground scene of rap artists today that also have, you know, poignant messages and social commentary and stuff like that. I'm just not familiar with that scene, if you know what I mean. Okay, up next, show a tape you have on CD or vinyl as well. Cyclone by Wow Wow. I picked this cassette up very cheap in Mephisto Records. And then later I found, and it's fantastic, it's 80s heavy metal, kind of leaning, I guess, stretching from 80s heavy metal to melodic AOR, and it's a fantastic release. So when I found online a vinyl copy of it, I decided to pick that up too. And as you can see, this is a Japanese pressing. So there you go. I also have this one here, Enchantment, Cold Soul Embrace. This is amazing death doom, and it sounds like it's from the 90s, but it's from 2021. I bought this cassette tape, and I also bought the vinyl, and I bought those at the same time to support the band. And I can attach a shout out to this as well, because Mark G with a C, who has a fantastic vinyl community channel too, is in that band. And if you like death doom, I think it's a no-brainer. It's definitely worth checking out. It's fantastic. Yeah, some more stuff here. Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. So there you go. I also have that one on vinyl here in USA, #1. So that's an original pressing. And in this case, I bought the vinyl first, and then I found a sealed brand new copy from back when it was released on cassette tape, and it was very cheap. So I picked it up. And up last, No Prayer for the Dying by Iron Maiden. I have this one on vinyl as well, the reissue, that is. And in this case, I had the vinyl first, and I found a cheap copy of the cassette tape in Mephisto as well. And I think it's an underrated album. I really love No Prayer for the Dying. A lot of people dunk on it, but I think, to me, that's the last album of the first golden era of Iron Maiden. So I really like that album. Okay, show your and technically this one here too. I have that on CD, and this is technically a hat trick because I have that on CD and vinyl as well. So there you go. Up next, the most expensive or valuable tape in your collection. Now, going by last time I checked Discogs, the most valuable cassette tape I have is this one here, Profit Counts by Furious Trauma, another 90s thrash metal demo tape. If you look at the max, this is the most valuable, expensive one. If you look at the overall picture, this one here, Arabesque, is the most valuable / expensive one. This is melodic hard rock glam metal, and it's very good, actually. So there you go. Up next, show a techno or electronic or a synth tape. This is where I have to bow out. I don't have any techno cassette tapes, and I don't think I'll ever buy any techno cassette tapes. To me, probably because I grew up in Europe, to me, techno, that term is synonymous with Euro dance house music, which I hate. I hated it back then. Now I just don't care about it. But I'm not going to buy any of that stuff. I'm not adverse to the idea of picking up some electronic music, though. I do, like, stuff that's a bit more along the lines of The Prodigy, for example. But I have those. The Prodigy releases I want. I have them on CD. Don't need to pick them up on vinyl. There was a movement in the late 90s, early 2000s, in Scandinavia, where you had some electronic music artists doing electronic renditions of traditional Scandinavian folk songs, like Sortenmul, for example. But I don't know if, because that's from the late 90s, early 2000s, I don't know if they released any stuff on cassette tape. And I do have the Sortenmul ones. I do have those on a CD. 80s synth music, I'm not at all adverse to the idea of picking some of that up. I love Depeche Mode, for example, but I have everything pretty much by Depeche Mode on CD. But if I come across a cassette tape with some genuine, authentic 80s synth music, I might pick it up for sure. Especially like, some of the soundtracks from some of the cheesy 80s action movies, like the canon ones that did have, synth music. I might pick that up for sure. But for now, this is a bow out for me. Up next, show a tape you bought at a show. I showed this tape in the 2022 edition, but just under a different category. This is Courage or Courage. This is a demo tape from the Danish underground metal scene from the 90s. This is hard rock / traditional metal. This is a band from my hometown, or my birth town, Odense, and I'm pretty sure I picked this one up at one of their shows. These guys were they were kind of outsiders on the underground metal scene back in the day, because for the most part, the underground metal scene in that town, at least, had kind of moved to embracing thrash metal and extreme metal and groove metal and alternative metal and all those things that were in back then. But these guys stuck to their guns and played traditional metal, hard rock. So they were more popular with the biker crowd than with the underground metal scene crowd. But I liked their music, so I would go to their concerts every now and then, and I'm pretty sure I picked this one up at one of their shows. Okay, up next, show a tape with a colored shell. I've opted for this one here, Our Trauma Is Not a Competition, by Of Concrete Gods. As you can see, it's on an orange shell with a cool label on it. And I can attach a shout out to this one too. This is really great acoustic alternative rock. Of Concrete Gods are an alternative metal band, and one of their members is Mr. Boulder from the VC, who also has a great vinyl community channel, so check that one out as well. Show an import tape from another country. Living in Denmark, most of the kind of mainstream, kind of like big pop rock, whatever artists, foreign artists, their cassette tapes were often made somewhere else, so they were technically imported. And I think it still counts today. There are some labels, though, in Denmark, underground labels. I know from the metal scene there's Dead Bangers Productions, and I know there's some other labels associated with other scenes that kind of, produce tapes within this nation. But I decided to opt for this one here, Beyond Salvation by the Angels. Melodic hard rock, but still with quite a punch to it, and very, very good, very enjoyable stuff. And I can attach a shout out to this one too, because this one was given to me by BVD Aussie Metalhead. Super nice guy as well. He has an awesome vinyl community channel too, so check that one out as well. And it's great music, to be perfectly honest. Okay, up next, this one is more of a question. Will you buy more tapes in 2023? Why or why not? This depends on how to interpret more tapes. If it means more tapes than in 2022, I don't know, to be honest. But if it means, will you continue to buy cassette tapes in 2023? The answer is yes, because I do have 3 or 4 Malevolent Creation tapes on order. So there you go. And I've also decided to try and see if I can pick up more of those old early 90s, maybe even late 80s demo tapes from the Danish underground metal scene. So yes, I will be buying more cassettes in 2023. How many? I don't know. But yeah, at least 3, because I have 3 on the way, like I said. 3 or 4. Okay. Up next, again, more of a question. What do you play your tapes on? At home, I play my cassette tapes on Teak double cassette tape deck W-1200. That's the name of the model. It's a modern cassette deck, but it works very well. It sounds good. It's perfect for me. I don't need to, at least not now, I don't need to go out and find an old one from the 80s. And in my office at work, I play my cassette tapes on a Roadstar mini boombox, which has made an appearance in some of my unsealing cassette tapes videos on this channel. But yeah, that's what I play my cassettes on, and they're perfect for me. So there you go. Okay, up next, show a mixtape or a blank tape. I don't have any blank tapes. I haven't had a blank tape since 1994 probably. And I do have some mixtapes from back in the day, but they're at my parents' place. So the closest thing I can show you, the best I can do, is this split tape by Toxic Carnage and Rapture. It's called Preachers of the Fallen Fate. I know it's cheating, but that's the closest thing I have to a mixtape. Okay, show an album you'd like to have on tape or tape you'd like to have on vinyl. I don't really have any albums on vinyl or CD that I want to have on cassette tape. And I'm actually not really a multiple formats guy. Very often those cases where I have like 2 or 3 typically different formats of the same release, that's typically because either I have it on vinyl or CD and then I find a cheap copy of it in the wild, or I have it on cassette tape and I find a cheap copy of it in the wild or online or something like that. And when I do soul searching in situations like this, it's nostalgia that drives this. But typically I don't need multiple formats of the same release. But here's one situation where there's kind of this nostalgia thing, and that is Ugly Kid Joe, America's Least Wanted. This is actually one I bought last year. Last year in 2022, I think, in Mephisto, the legendary record store. Very cheap. This is one I would actually like to have on vinyl. I do have it on CD, so I'm in no rush to pick it up. But I'd like to have it on vinyl, and I have actually seen in the wild a vinyl copy, and they're not cheap to come by. The one I saw was priced at what you would expect a vinyl copy of that release to be priced at. The problem was that the record itself had not been treated very, very well by the person who owned it previously. So to me, it was not worth paying that price for, even though it was what you would expect this to cost. So I'm in no rush, but I would like to have that one on vinyl. That'll be fun. Okay, up next, show an 8-track or a VHS tape. I don't have any 8-track tapes, and I'm not gonna start collecting 8 tracks. I'm fine with cassettes, vinyl, and CDs. But I do have a VHS. This one here, the unauthorized Star Wars story. And let's just move on to the next question, which is, it's kind of more of a task. Show the 2nd, the 3rd, or the 23rd tape in your collection. I'm gonna go with all of them. So the 2nd tape in my cassette tape collection is AC/DC's Flick of the Switch, and this is the the very first AC/DC release I ever had, and it is actually this cassette tape which my parents gave to me. The third cassette in my collection is Power Drive by Acid Blade. This is also a Jawbreaker release. This is very good stuff. Traditional metal with some speed metal, or maybe speed metal with some traditional metal, but somewhere along those lines. Maybe even, yeah, slightly thrashy stuff too, but very good stuff. And the 23rd tape in my collection is this one here, the Nachtma Sessions by Blitz. And this is a Dying Victims production release, and this is speed metal. So there you go. Show a double cassette or a tape from a box set. Last time I showed you this one here, Xandril, The Vision of Rotting Darkness, which is double cassette tape. Let's see if I can do it without having to open it. Yeah, you can see 2 cassettes in here. Early 80s traditional metal, speed metal. So that was one I showed you last time. This time I'm going to show you, I've shown this one before, an entire box set, Neptune's Legends from the North. This is also out on Jawbreaker Records, and it's also traditional metal from Sweden. And here you have all the tapes in it, and this is fantastic stuff in my opinion. I really like this. And that was the 20th question, and then the bonus question is, show a cassingle. I don't have like a cassingle, like the one where you have the cassette tape and then you have a cardboard kind of sleeve. But I have lots of cassette tapes that are singles, and this is one of them. Bloodstar, The Fear. It's a single. It has 2 songs on it. This is female-fronted heavy metal. Not really new wave of traditional heavy metal, but it is traditional heavy metal, and it's very good stuff. So there you go. That was my response to the 2023 Cassette Tag. Thanks for watching.